Good evening. I'd like to call the Destin Fire Control District Fire Commissioners to order. We're at 848 Airport Road here in Destin. Today is December 10th, 2019, and the time is 5:30 p.m. This meeting is open to the public. At this time, we'd like to have an employee recognition time.
Yes, sir. We have a couple of employees who have finished their one-year probation, accomplished all the requirements that are necessary for them to complete that probation. We recognized both of them at the last meeting for completing the Rescue Series course that we had going on. One of them wasn't able to be there, so the chairman has his helmet to be able to issue to him tonight. So we'll make sure we give that to him as well. The first employee I'd like to recognize would be Mr. Matt Wentworth. Matt came to us from Panama City, and we're very lucky to have him. Love having him on, and sir, congratulations. You think about the other hand, you gotta shake this hand. Thank you, sir. Would you mind taking this? I want to say that Matt worked diligently to pass the swim.
Congratulations.
When he first came to us, he wasn't the world's greatest swimmer. I don't know that his mark spits today, but either way, through dogged determination, he worked it through, and he passed it as recently as this morning. So very proud of it. Very proud of it. Oh, he's very happy to have that one done.
See you in 6 months.
We'll talk. The next one is Mr. Ryan Jensen. He comes to us from, here you go, sir, come on. He comes to us from Niceville. He worked there for a period of time. Very proud of Ryan. He, as well as the rest, accomplished the Rescue Series. And if the chairman wouldn't mind issuing his helmet as well, that'd be great. This is, your helmet would be a part of our rescue specialist team. There you go. I say that Ryan, him and another one that we recognized a month or two ago, were accomplished their swims in what I consider a really good time. These guys were able to get here. They could swim, but they weren't making their time. They dedicated themselves and knocked it out within about 3 months. So very proud of Ryan for doing that, putting that dedication into it, knocking it out, and he still swims really well today. So very proud of him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your dedication. All right, this time I'd open the floor up for public comment. So anybody would like to make any comments? The floor is yours. No, that's not. Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay, that's just for this. All right, seeing none, the floor is now closed for public comment. Review of the minutes, regular meeting November 12th, 2019.
Motion to approve the minutes of November 2019.
Second. Can I get a motion and a second? Any discussion, deletions, changes? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, to review the financial report, November 30th, 2019.
The report before you is reflective of 2 months through the fiscal year. We have begun to receive ad valorem taxes in, so we will not need to take any additional draws on the monies that's in savings. For the month of November, a nice, smooth month as far as expenditures go. So if there's any questions.
Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the financials of November 2018. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous.
Commissioner Moore, I
Yes.
would like to mention on page, beginning on page 14 and 15 of the book, is the financial statement as completed for September 30th, 2019 for our fiscal year end. And this has been sent to the auditor. Our audit will begin tomorrow, so I'm going to make sure that the commission has this on record.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, moving to old business, the West End Station. Give me some good news on that.
You know, I have some good news on that, guys. I spoke with the city manager today and the land use attorney. The funds have been giving from the treasury to the county for the Melvin Park, the one at the harbor. And coming right behind it is the funds for the Clement Taylor Park. So with that said, I was told today to, for myself, to get with the chief and set up a meeting one day next week. I'll contact city manager to set up a meeting where we can go sit with them and go ahead and start drafting up some language for a lease with our attorney, and be able to present something to the city council for their approval. So we're very, very close. When I say close, we're close. So that's great news. So we'll be setting a meeting next week to give the city on going forward.
Okay, but don't the agreement have to come to in front of us?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but so I'm just thinking in my head, when can it be presented to the city for the
Well,
city council to look at?
It's.
After the 14th of,
I think the initial meeting is gonna be set up, Chairman, for us to get an idea from the city, what they're willing to offer us, and then we will go to DC and say, hey, look, the two of you guys try to come up with some language, and then I'm sure DC will bring it back to this board for our approval and discussion
Okay.
on, now, if there's anything that y'all are thinking off the top of your head right now that you would like us, the chief and I, to bring to the attention of the city, you know, some concerns or some thoughts, please bring them to us, give them to us now, and or if you don't think of them today and you think of them tomorrow, please contact the chief and let him know, so.
I'm just thinking timeline, but with the holidays and all, I don't see anything going from the city council before the 14th, before our meeting anyway.
No, it'll be 30 to 60 days before it
So
goes in
30
front of
days,
council.
okay.
But the good thing about the council is, you know, when all this got started, when they actually carved, the full set of plans, 90% of the plans were sent to the treasury for their approval with the corner in it. They pulled the plans back from the treasury and carved the corner out for us. And at that time, obviously, you know, in order for them to carve it out, we had already went in front of council and got their approval. You know, they're thinking that most definitely move forward. If the treasury was gonna accept the new set of plans with that carved out, which they have. So with the treasury accepting the plans with it carved out, then that gives us pretty much
We're a step
a
closer.
great thumbs up, two thumbs
Yeah.
up to move forward with. So anything you guys can think of. DC, you might be able to help us on this. I think municipalities, when they do a land lease like that, they usually do something like a 99-year lease, right? Don't they usually go pretty, I mean, we'll be locked in pretty safe for us. Right. Right. And as far as the fee, that's gonna be up to, I don't think it's gonna be crazy. But,
I think there's probably similar verbiage out there that.
exactly.
I would hope that it'd be similar to what we had when we had the other station.
Yeah.
I think that was
Right.
$1 a year or something like that, but I don't know where they're gonna be. I'm just saying that my hope would be it'd be similar to what it was when we were down at the,
Exactly.
we were down there at the old station. And I don't know what they have carved out with the sheriff, or what they have worked out with the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office used that same building that they're using now. So, so I mean, they pay the sheriff's office to provide a specific service.
Right.
So it's kinda like getting their own tax dollars back.
Yeah, in this case, it's a little bit different because the existing building where the sheriff's department, where we used to be, was the city building. And the city would maintain certain parts of it where the leasee would have to, you know, maintain other issues. In this case, we're just leasing the land and we're providing the building.
Yeah.
And, you know, in 99 years, the building would, you know, at that time, when that lease came up, that they chose not to renew it, then of course it would go to the city, but most likely we don't have to worry about that in 99 years, because we'll let somebody else worry about that. I don't think any of you guys will still be here in 99 years. I know I'm not. But anyway, it all sounds good. Everything's getting positive. It's getting real positive, and we're gonna move, I think, a lot faster now than we've been saying.
Very good.
Good news.
Yeah, great news.
Thank you very much.
So y'all okay with, y'all okay with us, with Chief and I going? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, interlocal agreement for beach safety and lifeguard services of Worcester County.
I'll address that. We're still in discussions with the city and county. Actually, the city, I got a confirmation that they will, or it's on their agenda for next Monday. I'm still going back with the attorney for the county regarding some verbiage, mainly dealing with insurance issues. We've had to speak with our respective carriers, and we should have a resolution and a final draft before the board at our next meeting with the board chief.
Okay, thank you. As long as we're moving forward on it. All right, property adjacent to 117 Crystal Beach Drive, which is over there by Station 10 that we've been talking about.
Yes, sir. I made a pitch, as I explained to the board, I believe at last meeting, I made a pitch to the trust, or the attorney that represents the trust, the Kelly Coleman Trust, and they found out when they did the title search that there are a lot of individuals listed. It wasn't necessarily solely a trust decision, as there are individuals, I think, that are actually a part of the trust, but named individually on the title. So, as she said, it's kind of like herding cats to get all of those groups together on the same page to accept that, but she is working diligently at it to try to help us, well, her trust help them get the property sold and sell it to us. So she's still herding those cats. She's going to keep me informed. I told her that we'll periodically check in with her to see how it's going and see how it's progressing, so that I can kind of keep contact with her and kind of keep it motivated, hopefully, and keep it moving. And if anything comes up between now and the next board meeting, I'll let the board know. But if not, I'll update you how she's able to herd all those individuals together at the next board meeting. But as of right now, that's where we are. She's trying to get all of their approvals to sell the property.
Good.
But we're still on the top. As far as she's aware, the trust is there. They want to sell the property to us, but they ran into that issue of having a lot of people listed individually. She's got to clean that up.
Kind of unusual they put that many names on a deed, wasn't it?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow. I've seen
This
it
time.
before.
This time we did.
I just know time kills deals, and I like it sitting there.
Well, if I can push her any harder, I would, but I can't really.
Just remember the issue, they sold
Yeah, that's fine.
Maddie's homestead property on Point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything like that is gonna take.
Yeah.
Okay, moving into staff management compensation, I believe that's Mr. Buckingham.
Mr. Chairman, I request that we table this till the end of the.
End of the meeting.
Okay,
And we do the chief report and the new business.
okay, so we're gonna move it to the end of the meeting. Okay. Everybody in agreement with that?
Sure.
That's fine. All right. All right, moving to chief reports, beach safety update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have that much, other than we have received all the money for the vehicles, the ATVs, the UTVs, and the wave runners, the last to be picked up. Other than that, we're just working on some H-2B visa recruitment, as well as putting some RFPs together and finishing the lifeguard chairs as well as the paddle boards. Other than that, the polar bear plunge, I think it's our 14th annual, is on the 1st of January at Henderson Beach State Park. Everybody's invited. It's $25 entrance. Most people will be arriving between 9:30 and 10:30, and we're going to jump in the water at 11. So, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
I won't be there.
Understood.
Joe, the receipts that we got for selling that equipment go to the county now, is that our?
No, not this year.
Okay.
No, I don't think that ever the money will go to the county.
So geez.
The CDC. So right now, those
Yeah,
are,
okay.
and they're our assets, and it goes back to us. And then when we get this, we'll see what'll happen on Monday when those
3 years
vehicles become obsolete after a 2-year cycle. I'm assuming I put them on a trailer and drop them off at some county address.
Well, I guess where I was headed was we pay a minor fee to the tax collector in the county to collect our ad valorem taxes for us, and we certainly would want a fee for selling their equipment for them. Just file that one.
Jack, I like that. I like that, Jack.
Mr. Wilson, that's part of some of the discussions we're having with the county with this particular agreement. But these assets have already been sold. We do not have an agreement with
Okay,
them
but
right now.
this, so we don't have that new, okay, perfect.
Okay, you got a training report, chief?
Yes, sir. You have it in front of you. You see the guys were able to attain 37 hours in various topics, where they were able, 10 hours of it, they were able to get out in different buildings throughout the district and review those buildings and layouts and strategies. They also did cardiology, hose testing, USLA, open water rescue training, extrication training, and some hydrant testing and maintenance, so hydrant care and maintenance. So outstanding number of hours for them for the month, when we typically only require 20, so that's great.
Any discussion? All right, inspection report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, you have my report in front of you. The only project of note that is coming forward is the Charles, which would be a subdivision there by Big Kahunas. I can't remember exactly how many units, I think it's like 200 and something units there. But they are getting ready to start breaking ground on it, so
Fantastic. Is it just west of Big Kahunas?
just east.
Is it condos or
On the other
apartments?
side.
It's gonna be apartments,
That's between.
right behind the gas station there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of wraps in around the backside of it there, so. And then the complex here by Winn-Dixie is still moving forward. We're about to start, doing some asphalt in there, so. They, started moving hot and heavy on that one, so.
That's a lot of soup for me.
If you have any other questions, I'll free to answer them.
I see none. Anybody else?
That's good.
All right, overtime report, chief?
Yes, sir, you'll see some small hours there, a couple hours here and there, and then you'll see 9, 11, and then 1 24-hour shift, so 1 24-hour shift in the month wasn't bad at all. So I think overall it's a pretty good report.
How are we doing with personnel? We still looking for a couple?
Oh, yes, sir, we're taking applications. We will probably, we haven't set the date yet, but we'll be testing for new employees, applicants, probably the first week in January, right after the new year. So it'll be in that first week, and we'll be testing on that. When we put them on, will probably depend on the selectees and who we want to hire and where they are and what's going on, but we'd like to be able to put on, and of course, we're looking for 6. So we've gotten in quite a few applications, which is great. And we're kind of listing them out to notify them that we'll be testing at the beginning of January. And we typically try to put that through after the holidays, so somebody's not trying to arrange their schedule to be here through Thanksgiving or Christmas or that kind of stuff. And then if it's after the holidays, if we decide to hire them, they're not having to try to work their schedule out and ask for additional time off and that kind of stuff and push us off for the holidays. So that's why we typically do it after the first year. We'll either do it in October or we'll do it after the first year. I prefer first year.
Any questions? All right, new business, resolution 20-02, amending the retirement trust.
Yes, so I'll let Ms. Catherine take that one.
The resolution has been prepared by the pension board attorney. This resolution is really a procedural thing that we need to have done. Florida legislature passed the cancer presumption bill for firefighters. That went into effect July 1st, 2019. So this resolution adds the necessary language to our plan document. There was very minimal cost for adding this to our plan.
Make a motion to approve resolution 20-02.
Okay, I got a motion to approve resolution 20-02 in a second. Any discussion?
Yes, does the pension board approve this before it gets to us? Or
Yes,
is it
Yes, no, actually, I'm sorry, let me think about this for a minute. No, the pension board does not
Essentially our
have to
plan,
approve
right?
this. It's,
Okay, so
it's
we're modifying our plan.
correct.
On the cancer presumption.
Correct.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. All right, moving on to resolution 20-03, beach safety asset obsolete.
As several of you are aware, this is kind of just cleaning a few things up, where AJ's donated the money for us to purchase a rescue board years ago. We have now, that board has served its useful life for us. We've already presented it to AJ and Alan down at the restaurant for him to hang on the wall as a memento for its well-served, useful life. And that way it kind of shows his support of us. But this is cleaning that up so that we need to make it obsolete. And we're making that board obsolete as well as resolutions.
That gives it up. Okay, how long ago, Joe, did we go hit Alan up to give us that money?
A long time.
It's been,
That
So
board
I think it's
served
about
its- its- did its
Do we
duty.
have any history on that board? How many rescues?
I was trying to track it, but it kind of,
Make it up, nobody knows.
yeah.
I like what you did.
I would say a lot.
Yeah, I'll put a plaque up there.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
you know,
they won us a national championship.
That's a real good idea. I like where Jack's going with
Okay.
that. Why don't you try to work up something?
Mhm.
Because I think it would be nice to have some kind of a plaque sitting next to that board. Right, Jack, that's a great idea.
Well, my thought is that, Alan was one of the first to step up
He
and
did.
do that,
That's correct.
and which was great, but tons of people go through AJ's.
Right.
They're gonna see that board, it's weird and it's different, and we ought to have a little advertisement for our district right there.
Mhm.
It says what this board was used for, and
Yeah.
protecting tourists and local, I mean, all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so
thank you
then
for the first
point of
board.
sale thing, we ought to just,
I think it's a great idea.
good.
We'll make it happen.
I think it's
Okay, so move
2010.
on 2003, please.
Okay.
Yeah, motion and a second to approve 2003. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, resolution 20-04, which is vehicle obsolete. We're talking about
Yes, sir. This is for
fire truck.
the, yes, sir. This is for the 2002 E1, that the new truck, the new Pierce that we just dedicated a month or so ago is taking the place of. We would like to make it obsolete. I will say that I was approached by the college, or we've been in contact with the college, about them purchasing this apparatus from us. They're in need of an apparatus. They're willing to purchase the apparatus. Of course, as a college, they're willing to pay a price for it, and I'm sure that they don't want to overpay for it. So I have been in contact with them. I know that the professor that's in charge of the emergency services division of the college, programs of the college, he and I have talked about it. We did the research on trying to figure out what the cost, what this apparatus could potentially sell for. So in our research, we were able to come up with 4 different apparatus that are currently for sale that are somewhat similar to this one in some capacity. We ran across, found a 2001 E1, didn't say the type of cab, has 208,000 miles on it for $19,000. Then we had a 2003 E1 Spartan cab with 126,000 miles for $24,000. A 1998 E1 Cyclone 2 rescue pumper, which would be very similar to ours as far as what it is. It's an E1 Cyclone rescue pumper. It's similar to ours, just older, with 28,000 miles, which is phenomenal. It's like it didn't move, and it's a 98, that many miles. They want $30,000 for it. And then there's a 2002 that we ran across, E1. It's a Cyclone as well. Has a 1,000-gallon tank, where ours is a 750. It's got a top mount pump, which costs significantly more to have a pump mounted midship, where you step up and operate the valves from an elevated position. Cost more, and they want 60,000. We don't know what the miles are on that truck. We didn't see it. So with that said, the price ranges from 19,000 to about 60,000. Our vehicle. So our vehicle's and I got the sticker here, it's a 2002 Cyclone 2 rescue pumper with about 102,000 miles on it. So our miles are up there. And when we look at this,
Thank you, guys.
yeah, thank you for coming. Ours is a 2002, where there is a 2002 here, E1 Cyclone, very similar to ours. We don't know the miles on it. They want 60 for it, but it has a 1,000-gallon tank, water tank, which that's
big.
yes.
That's
We
big.
got a 750, and it's a top mount pump. Ours is a side mount, and that's going to cost significantly more to get that pump mounted up to the top because you got to change a lot of stuff. And they want 60 for it. We just don't know what their miles are.
They're asking. We don't know what
And
they'll
they're
get.
asking 60.
I'd
Then I-
say it's in prestige.
And, yeah, I think so for that amount. And I take this into consideration, we sold the last truck, which was the Ferrara, I think, to,
It was.
was, no, it was
North up there.
no.
Lillian.
Sort it up.
Alabama.
Lillian.
Lillian, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we sold it to Lillian, I think for about 40, 45, if I remember, Ms. Catherine, go look the number up. My general thought would be this: I talked with the, again, the doctor that's in charge of the services over there, and he already went and had himself approved through his board $40,000 to purchase our apparatus. I think that range is in the middle of what we're kind of seeing. Our truck has 100 and some odd thousand miles, which is pretty significant compared to some of the others that we have listed here. So I think that 40 to 45 is a good range. In the resolution, you'll see I went with a lower number based upon whatever the board would like to be. You can approve the resolution at whatever amount you so choose. I just kind of wanted to give you an idea that it does range from 19 to 60,000, and I think that 60,000 is going to be a truck that's in pristine condition, probably low miles, top mount pump and all that. So I don't think ours is where that one is for sure. I think ours is more in the range of that 1998, which is exactly our truck, but only has 28,000 miles. Ours has 100 and over 100,000 miles, and it's 4 years newer. And I think 40 is a good price, and we're giving it to an organization that is going to be training firefighters in this area. We've asked them to leave all of our logos on it, so we're kind of getting that advertisement where they're out there utilizing a truck that says Destin on it. Might as well come work at the place that you already been riding around on a truck on, with already. So, and they've agreed to, hey, we'll leave all that on there, no problem.
Question, where's our depreciation schedule on it?
We're approximately 175,000, I
Left.
believe, on it. No, remaining, we've only got about,
That's what I want.
it'll be finished this year.
Yeah,
It's
we're done.
finished depreciating
Well,
Well,
this year.
when we don't get rid of it until the thing is appreciated. I mean, we're going on for years. So,
I'm good with that then.
Can we maybe swap it and get some,
I tried, I did have those kind of conversations.
training dollars or something?
I actually was hoping that we'd get some paramedic slots out of it, and he said, no, he'd rather it be a clean deal and not kind of have that hanging. He'd rather give us the money and us turn around and do it that way. Instead, I said, hey, man, how about, give us $20,000 and pick up X number of scholarships. He wanted it to be as clean as possible.
I agree with
And I
that.
was fine with
Yeah, I
that.
agree with him.
Jet and emergency training.
Oh,
yeah.
They're only part of that shit.
Guys, I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
knowing where it's going, knowing that our depreciation schedule is down to nothing. I mean, I can't think of a better place for it to go than if it can't put out a fire, to train a guy that can put a fire out, so I'll make a motion to go forward with 2004.
Okay, 40.
Second.
I got a motion to approve the resolution 20-04. Any further discussion? I'm kind of like you, Chief, now. I keep it clean.
Yeah.
Be done with
Well,
it.
I mean, that's kind of.
I know we
we're-
talked about it, but
We're not in the used truck selling business, except
Right.
maybe Tommy from time to time.
Yeah.
But, and it's going to a great place, and we're getting a reasonable amount for it based on the cost you told us. So
Exactly.
don't, spend too
Exactly.
much time trying to
And,
get.
and they'll do some training, which is what we need.
So, that's all.
well, let's get it done so we can get our money.
Mhm.
All right, so let's take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you for working the day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, no problem. I enjoyed it.
All right, our next meeting is, oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to staff management compensation. Now it's your turn, Mike.
Oh, okay, let me get back where I was at then.
Well, before that, could we go ahead and knock out?
They don't need to vote
They don't
on
need
it.
that?
They should review it, but they don't need to.
Okay, never mind.
Before we get to that, Chief, could we get a little update on what happened with the wreck down here on Airport Road with our.
Yes, our trucks.
Cause I was understanding we didn't have anybody in firefighters hurt, and then I heard that one did go to the hospital, so.
Nobody, nobody was seriously injured. We ended up sending everybody to the hospital. We sent everybody to be checked, as a precautionary measure. One we sent in the ambulance to Fort Walton. He seemed to be just fine. I mean, there was no, really serious injuries that, was noticeable to us. Our medics checked him out, but we sent him as a precautionary measure over to Fort Walton. And then, once he was gone, we sent the other two over to the ER just to make sure they were okay. That was more of a precautionary measure. Nobody at the particular time, was having any issues. And when we looked them over, everybody, we're all saying that they're okay. But we understand this in the career field that we work in, that our adrenaline gets to pumping when we get to working. And when you have something like that, you don't realize it immediately. So we wanted to go ahead and send them regardless, because that can be compensated for with the endorphins that are in your system and you not necessarily feel it. And then once you get to the hospital, you're being evaluated, everything comes down, and all of a sudden you feel things. So we want to make sure that everybody was evaluated, so we did send them. And since then, I mean, those guys are back. Several of them, two of them are back at work. The other one came back to work and then started having some concerns, and we made sure to send them to the doctor for further evaluation. And it has been off for a couple of shifts to give them some downtime, and going to have further evaluation from some other doctors to make sure that everything's okay. So I won't get into all the details of it, but we have one that is off. That wasn't the one that we sent actually for Walton. It was one that had stayed back and we sent to.
Well, hopefully he comes fine.
Yes, I think everybody's gonna be fine. It's just the process that we run through. We had to make sure that we do all the workers' comp processes as we go through and get the appropriate doctors and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing. So that takes a little bit of time when you work with them.
Okay. But we lost the vehicle though, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have had the adjusters out. The adjuster for the Nissan, as everyone would have anticipated, has been written off as stolen. We've already taken off some of the equipment on it, and I say equipment, that didn't get totaled, meaning the radios, the light on the top, and some of the other stuff that's specifically fire related that wasn't damaged. We were able to salvage that out of the vehicle, but they have written it off. And then the apparatus has been evaluated by an adjuster. He's taking pictures and all, and Pierce is evaluating the truck to give them a cost estimate of what it's going to take to repair the vehicle. There were some things that once we got it up to the shop and we were able to look at, things that we didn't see at night, looking at it, or even the next day. We kind of start looking at things and we see a few things we didn't see that night. I think that when the wreck occurred, there was stuff that we didn't see. There's some shift and a little bit of a panel on one of the sides that kind of crumpled just a little bit. And as myself and Battalion Chief Taylor talked about, we want the truck just like it was when we bought it. So that's the way we want it. So whatever it takes to get it back to that.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad no one was seriously hurt.
Yes, sir. Thank you for asking. I think everybody's okay. We do have one of the guys that it's out right now because it's a precautionary measure. It's out, and we'll go ahead and see a couple of more doctors before we do this.
Thanks for answering. All right, Mike, you got the floor.
Okay, guys, we as a board had been discussing a compensate for the non-union employees and staff, and we had come up with a thought of doing a pay scale, a lot like what we have just accomplished with the current CBA. And you'll see in front of you, on one, first what I did on one, I wanted to show the difference of what this department does versus other departments, and I took three. I took Destin, North Bay, and Okaloosa Island. And, these are round numbers, they're rough, they're not perfect, but you take property values, for instance, 6.5 here, North Bay 1.1 and 1.2 in Okaloosa. You can look down here and look at the employees across the board difference of what this department has versus the other two. The beaches, the airport, the high rises, the medium rises. When you look and see the amount of what this department and these guys are are protecting, and servicing, you know, it's substantially, much more than some of the departments around us. I know there's other ones around that might be larger, but that doesn't mean that they have everything is concentrated in one small area like we do. As you guys know, that sometimes it's hard for these guys to get down the road because we got so many people in this town. Where, you know, maybe South Walton, they can run, you know, 80 mile an hour down that road, you know. But anyway, and you go to page 2, you'll see where, I came up with a year in rank and a year in service, and its salaries based on the CBA, the years in service, not the years in rank. And if you'll see 0, what I'm trying to come up with, and this is what I thought that the board, this is what I got, that I got from everyone, was that we need to put this thing in a position where these guys sitting in front of us can see that there's an incentive for these guys to move up the ladder. Currently, if you look at some of the numbers, some of these guys are better off staying where they're at, you know? You know, why would you wanna take these responsibilities, you know, for this much more money? And this much more this, and this much more that. But if we put it in a scale form similar to what you guys have now, and you can see that, wow, if I'm able to get in this position, I can get to here, I can get to here, I can get to here. It's an incentive. And, you know, I've said this many, many times, you're only as good as your employees. You take good care of your employees, you got good employees, we got a good department. So, with that said, you'll see on the second page of 1, Commissioners, that I come up with a scale, and a starting of if we had to hire a chief today, where he would start. Now, you know, obvious years and ranks is how many years he has with us, not years that he has somewhere else. But,
In the current rank, he's in it.
I'm sorry?
The current rank.
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay.
Then on, and then in.
Mike, what if we, I don't see us doing this, but what if we hired a chief from some other district somewhere?
And he's got 5 years in?
Yeah.
Okay, it
Would
would
we
be,
bring him in at the 0 scale, or?
if it was me, if I had a vote in it, which I would think that it would be very fair to put the guy into 5 years that he's already had in service. That's my vote, but
If we don't do that, we're not gonna be hiring anybody from outside.
Bingo.
We'll be off.
bingo.
Okay, we're gonna tell good qualified people that we want you to go back to 0, whatever that year 0 thing.
So I would say years in that rank anywhere.
Okay, and I'm
As
good
long
with
as it's
that.
comparable. I mean,
Yeah.
there's, you know, like, a lot of fire departments don't do what we do.
Right, and I'm good with that, I am.
Okay.
Okay, so if you go to 2, basically all this is just telling you is just different things that each one of these ranks do. You know, what they have and what have you. It's just some data that I was getting from the chief to try to come up with something to bring back to this board with a scale of something that is more than fair in my opinion, but give you guys something to look at so we could move forward on this. But I was kind of hoping that some of these guys were here tonight so they could listen in on this and see that, you know, this is not about what we're doing for the current people. This is about building a department here that is a good, solid, strong, something that you guys can look forward and say, wow, I can get there. And how are you gonna get there? There's only one way you're gonna get there, and that's work your butt off, and there's no doubt you guys do that. So this is just something that if it gets implemented, if we vote on it tonight, which I hope we do, you know, when you get this past us, but, you know, I got 4 more commissioners up here, but for you guys to look at in the future and go, wow, I can do this too. Because these guys aren't gonna be here forever, so. If you look at 3, then again, that's just more information of how I got to where I'm at, guys. When you look at the employees that we had prior to 4/1/16, and then you can look at employees, for instance, an engineer versus an engineer that was hired after 4/1/16, you can see the difference in where they went for example, 44 to 48. It kind of gives you an idea, right here, Tommy? Kind of just gives you an idea of what we did with the CBA. This is the same what we're doing tonight.
Mike, I like the structure of this. I like looking outside our own house to, in some way, try to model what our district does and what the chief is responsible for. Did we do that for the battalions as well? Or
Yes,
for the
sir.
other slots?
Yes, sir, if you look back on the,
They're on.
Okay,
yeah, if you'll look back here on the,
on number 2?
on page 2 of number 1, Jack, you'll
Okay.
see, that I did it down here for not only the chief on 0.
Yep,
You'll see the battalion chiefs,
okay.
you'll see, the administrative, division chief, you'll see the fire marshal, you'll see the beach safety.
I've got that.
Yeah, right there.
I'm trying to compare this to this, but I found what I wanted, that the average battalion chief is in something comparable as 102,000. I don't know about how many years in rank they have, but it seems to fit against our scales.
Right.
Because for me, we're trying to do 2 things. One, we're trying to rack and stack everybody, from an
Correct.
entry-level firefighter to a chief, okay?
Correct.
And make sure that's reasonable,
Mhm.
make sure it incents people to want to progress, okay?
Right.
And recognize what it takes to go from being, a captain to a battalion chief, or
Right.
becoming a captain, or whatever.
Right.
And then the second thing is, are we being market sensitive? Can we compare ourselves to the comparables in the marketplace and say, yeah, we've got it racked and stacked right, but we're 2 inches off, above or below, compared to the market, so
Exactly.
it's that. That's
Exactly.
what I was driving at.
And that's what we were working on, to
Okay.
get to where we're at today.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is like, is this your recommendation right here on this page, on 1, page 2?
Yes, sir.
This is for all of them right here, for all the non-union employees? You just threw in the firefighter, engineer, and captain. You're saying, this, for example, you're saying the chief, starting off with 0 experience, 125. So this use the chief for experience, he has, I think, 9 or 10 years. So you're
Right, then
saying
he would come up to where the 9-year is.
9 years,
And
127.
please keep in mind that what we did here, we started off with the a 3-year longevity step, and it was $1,500 a year step, okay? And if we do this step, like we did with the CBA, if we do a step, then it's real clear, where they can go if they wanna get. Correct me if I'm wrong, that it's just a step that just continues going, and after, like you said, from 9 years, you're gonna go from a brand new guy that hired, but for instance, chief, let's just say he's 9 years, he goes to 9 years.
Okay.
So basically, ask a question on that.
Yeah.
When you call it a 3-year longevity step, I
Right.
mean, the 3-year kind of creeps in, because that's our contract.
Right.
So we tend to think in terms of the 3-year blocks in our contract, but really, this is an annual longevity
That was my next
bump.
question.
Bingo.
Right.
Every
But what
year,
I did
every
was,
year.
Every year, yeah.
I went, it's $1,500 a year,
right,
basic math.
but what I did is I just wanted to show you guys how I got to this.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. And what about, so it's based on a year, what about incentives? That, I know that after talking to some of these guys and individually, they were talking about incentives, especially like sick time.
Right, right.
And
There is a sick time thing that I'd like to discuss, and or you can, once we get past this portion,
Okay,
I'd love to open that one up and see if we can get to that also.
very good.
Can we open it up at all the same time so we can
Well, here,
have all the information?
okay, so why don't I do this, okay, to make it easy? I'm gonna make a motion, okay, to accept, this scale tonight, so we can get into discussion. Right? Isn't that the way I need to do
Yeah,
it?
and
Well, he can bring up his.
I'll second it to open up the discussion.
Okay, I think, am I correct, to get into the discussion on it, you need to have a motion in a second, is that correct, or no?
Yeah.
Well, you're just doing a presentation right now.
Right.
Yeah,
Of
you
your
make your
stuff, then he can do
presentation,
his
but if
presentation
we're
of
gonna have
his stuff.
discussion, and
Right.
I defer to DC on
Okay,
the
my
technicalities,
motion is to open up for discussion for this approval for tonight.
Okay,
There you
but let me,
go.
hear me out.
Yes.
You did your presentation, and then you got a presentation, correct?
No, I don't presentation.
No, I'm gonna do the
Oh,
presentation,
you're
but
just
he's
gonna
gonna have
talk about
questions.
some, I thought you were talking about
I'll-
incentives.
Well, I wanna talk about incentives, because I think that's part of.
That's part of this whole
That's part of his
package.
thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
agree.
you have to
Right.
talk to
And-
these
and
guys.
they're right
they want
here.
some incentives.
Okay, all right.
Chair, they're
I thought
right
you were
here.
talking about another package. Okay,
No, and Chair, I brought those for us to pass out here.
okay.
Well, let me do this, let me go ahead instead of you, I'll make the motion
Okay, I'm good with that.
to approve the.
The scale?
Scale that you submitted to the board,
Well, thank you.
okay?
All right,
All right, I'll second that.
so
Yeah,
just
thank you.
a motion and a second.
Now.
So now we're open to discussion.
Can I
There you go.
clarify? The motion was to approve the scale.
Correct.
But it also has yearly longevity bumps.
Right, that is correct.
And I think at some point, to implement this scale, we gotta figure out where people are on the scale, I would think.
Correct.
Chief's pretty easy, we can go back and say, when did you become chief, boom, 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 X, 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 and you're good. Somebody's gonna have to sort through Catherine, for example, when did she become the administrative division chief with comparable responsibilities to what she has today? We hired you to do a totally different job than you do today,
Right.
we know that.
Exactly.
The same thing with the fire marshal. I mean, when did Matt become fire marshal, and was that same, again, that's my comparable stuff.
Sure.
If we go hire somebody in the marketplace and they have comparable experience, then we give them credit for it. So we gotta at least slot the people in at the right point.
That is correct.
By and large, it's not a zero, it's somewhere on that.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. That was
So is
my,
that-
that's
my
my.
question
So it could
was
be a
when you
3,
said
6.
Scale, is that part of voting on the scale?
Yes,
Okay, because I mean, it seems to me that's an implementation issue.
correct.
Okay.
I think the issue you get into it is, okay, we go hire, another fire chief. Well, you might get a fire chief in here that's never ran 2 stations and had, you know, everything that goes on in this station, he might come from.
All the responsibilities, speed,
Exactly,
safety, and
right,
everything.
yeah.
So he doesn't have the experience, he might have 9 years' experience as a chief, but not,
Our
We think
experience.
comparable experience.
so that's where I'd have issues on it too, is,
Right.
Right.
on that is, their experience.
I agree.
And these people here are proven, we know what they do.
No,
They
I
can do.
agree with you.
And that's,
Well, I think if we, like, were to hire another chief or something like that, that would be a different situation.
Right.
Well, when that time.
I'm just saying, we would be negotiating with
Yeah,
the chief
but-
and that's
but
coming
when
in
that
place.
time comes,
and
If
we
I
may
could
be outside
elaborate,
this
that's what I
scale.
would say.
But when that
That's
time comes, that's gonna be up to the 5 of us.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah.
To make
Yeah.
sure that that guy can do
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
at least what this guy's capable of doing.
that would be the validation that we
Exactly.
have had our pay scales correct for the market.
Yes.
Given the responsibility of our chief and the battalions and the captains all the way up.
And we
That is
advertise
correct.
at this amount.
That is correct.
Capiche?
I'm good.
All right,
No,
and you wanted to talk about yours?
Well, let me go back, I'm still stuck here because you made a comment about, in service. Let's use, for example, Joe has 15 years, I don't know how many years you got in service.
15. Yeah.
And talking to him, so we slot him in 15 years, or we slot him or something different?
Well,
We
he would-
slot him at the time
Beach
that he
safety
came to
division
be the
chief,
beach, when he came to be the position that we have there.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
That's what we
Not
saw.
when we determine that we feel that, like we got a rate.
No.
So
It would be the
he's got
time.
15, those are 15 years.
It would be like Matt, you know, I mean, Matt would be slotted in when
3
he
years.
became the fire marshal.
Yeah, 3 years.
Right.
Okay, I'm good with that, yeah,
Right.
I'm good with that. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Right.
But somebody that understands, I mean, just simple facts. When Joe came here, what your prior experience was, what was running Bee Safety like whatever many years ago versus what is it like now? Because this scale is for what it is now.
Correct.
And if it's been substantially the same for the last 10 years, and you've been running it for 10 years, I'd raise my hand for 10, okay? And if it doubled in size 5 years ago, I'd say, wait a minute, you know, that conversation by somebody that knows what they're talking about, it's gotta go on.
Sure.
That's gotta be the chief and you, Mike.
That's what, and that would be a great, that's a great recommendation, Jack. If that wants to be put on the table, that's exactly what your chief and I need to do.
Okay.
You get nervous, chief?
No, sir, not at all. I have the ultimate confidence in the board. Matter of fact, whenever Commissioner Buckingham has discussed with me, I've told him many times that I have full faith and confidence in the board, I always have. And whatever this board decides, I'm gonna be good with regardless of what it is. So I've always had that confidence.
No, let's go to the incentives now. I know
Okay.
when I was talking to each individual, you know, their recommendation was they wanted a $2,000 raise bump. We're giving $1,500.
Right.
So in lieu of that, I would like to make a motion or a presentation that we, for sick time, when they retire, that we give them 100% of their sick time and use it over, let's use, for example, if somebody retires at 55 years old, they retire and it goes to 65 until they kick into their Medicare. And you got 10 years at 120 months. Divide that by the amount of money they have, and divide that each month. We'll give them a stipend for whatever use they want to use it for, whether it be for their insurance or whether it be for paying grandma's apartment house. It doesn't matter. We'll give them the money, and they're going to get the full 100% of their sick time.
And you
They'll-
saying that
and they'll
it's
be
divided in the amount of,
Say there's 120 months. If you retire at 45, now you're talking 240
let's go back to
months.
55, 55 to
At
65,
55,
120 months.
120 months.
Right.
So every month, say you got whatever sick time you have, whether it be 1,300 hours or whether it be 30 hours.
It's
whatever you got,
divided into
divided
120.
by whatever what it is, net, say.
So in other words, we're not writing a lump sum check, we're dividing it into 120.
Exactly.
I go
So
for
it's
that.
not a burden on the district. We can pay it.
May I add a comment to that?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's good.
Administratively, that would be a nightmare if someone had 30 hours and having to write a check for them every month
Or.
for 120
So,
months.
all right, so.
If you could maybe change that
To
to
12.
annual payments,
Yeah, all right.
or even
What would
if
easier
it's
for you?
over
Would it-
so many hours.
Would it be,
So
would
let's
it
do it
be easier
annually
to
then.
write a once-a-year check, or would it easier to do a once-a-month check?
Once a year check
Well,
would be easier.
That's fine, and that's fine too,
But I
once
still
a year.
think you should have a minimum, and if somebody's got under
Just
X
pay it
number
out.
of
Just pay
hours,
out.
pay it
Pay it
Just
out.
pay out.
If it's 50 hours, if it's 20, I mean, whatever that is, but you don't wanna be writing somebody a
Yeah,
check
for
for
$10.
$5
Just off the
every
top of your head,
month.
what's the average sick time?
Oh,
payout?
it's a range,
Yeah.
there is no, it's all over the place.
It
You've
is
got
all
some
over,
with-
it is all over. I talked with the chief, there is all over the channel, yeah. But let's just say one of these guys, at the age of 55, they're retiring, they got, let's just say like Bob said, they got 10 years, they got 1,000 hours.
And that gives you
Oh.
incentive to not use your sick time and save it, and so you're gonna get paid out 100%. But my stipulation would have to be though, we're not just gonna give somebody becomes battalion chief one day, the next day he retires, and then he's gonna get his money. I'm not gonna make part of the stipulation is you have to have at least 5 years of service as an administrator in order to get this money, otherwise it reverts back to the way it is now. where you only
Because
get- you only get-
currently, correct me if I'm wrong, my brain box is running, currently, it's 480 hours, correct, that they have to leave behind?
40.
The current CBA,
Yes.
says it's, you have to start at 481, it goes to 720, and it's 50%, and then above 720 to 1,000 is 75%, but it's 75% of it all the way down to 480, but 480 does is gone, I mean, that doesn't count.
Here was my thought, and I don't know if I'm right, guys. My thought was if we can make this incentive very appealing, then they're not gonna use it up. Man, if I can use this at the end, and it's all sitting here at the end, we got everybody coming to work every day. Use it at the end. I mean, it's just the thought, it's just a thought.
Well, I come at this 180 degrees out
Yeah.
from you guys. I mean, I think there's a point in time when you promote someone into a management role or an executive role or whatever you want to call it, and you give them very, very market comparable, very high salaries. Let's quit worrying about 20 hours of sick pay and two hours of overtime. They have a job. They're extremely well paid for that job, and I would leave it at that. I would make their benefits comparable to all of our non-management, non-executive employees that are covered by the CBA. And if that's fair and that's right, why, for example, if I became, I could never do it, but if I became a battalion someday, all of a sudden my family medical care is covered? Why? My family's not at any more risk. They don't have any more health issues than your family is gonna have someday. I think you need to be very careful
So this has something to do with-
about setting these 6 people, okay, up on a different tier of what doesn't matter. I really wanna pay them wages that are comparable in the marketplace, that are incentives for the people under to progress, and incentives for people to stay here and stay with our district. But then I think once we get to these things, I was real happy all the way through that,
Yeah.
really, we're finally getting there where we need to be. And I read this and I thought, oh heck, there's always another page, okay?
Right.
And I would say no, no, no to these three things. It's just, I think we're doing the wrong thing. I think their compensation, and if somebody wants to pay their health care for their family, fine, but why are they different than everybody else just because they're older and we've taken them to a much higher level?
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is this you were fine with,
Yep.
okay? And what I'm hearing you say is that these guys will end up having the same as the CBA.
Yep.
I get it, I understand.
I want, like the health insurance, I
Thank you,
haven't
Keith.
seen that one, I'm not in favor of the
Keith,
health insurance,
Well, they don't.
but for the sick time, I think we need to separate, we're always talking about separation, giving our management something different, to strive to move forward in making you wanna become a division chief. or a
Well,
battalion chief.
let's look at this, because Jack just brought up a good point. He looked at all three of these, and there was a couple of these that I wasn't even bringing, to the attention tonight. Matter of fact, I had these blacked out, and I printed the wrong one out, this was the original one. But the health was gone, you know, we weren't even gonna bring that up. So I'm scratching that one out right now, sorry I even brought that to your eyes. The only question was the retirement, I mean, the sick leave. That was one that I was gonna bring up. I was gonna bring it up next month, I was just gonna try to get stage one done tonight, but, you know, Bob liked to bring it up, and I'm good with him bringing it up, but I was just gonna try to get through one tonight.
Well, I think if they bank their sick time, you pay it out. Just be done with it.
That's a big chunk at one point, that's a.
We allow them to bank it, we pay it out. I mean, I think they bank it for a reason, to get a payout at the end. I don't think they bank it to
Well,
get a
we
pay every month.
We
Why
do-
why
we
don't
do
we
pay
just
out for the small
compensate them
share.
fairly up front?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so wait a minute, say that again, Rick? Say that part again?
I said, if
They
they
bank
bank it, they get paid.
So they're gonna get the money no matter what?
But I wouldn't wanna get it on a monthly stipend. I
Okay, so
mean, I've
yours-
earned that. That's,
So what I'm hearing you say, instead of breaking it up into 10 years and giving more her work, just write one check and give it to them.
right, one check and be done with it. We budget it, it's in the budget.
No, it's not. I don't believe it is.
Yeah, it is. It has to be.
It's accrued,
It's accrued.
it's accrued.
So every year we got a stash for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Well,
I'll just say,
Look,
my belief is, if it's theirs, you pay it. You don't say, hey, Carrot and Freddie guys, I'm gonna pay you out over 10 years. I mean,
I see both of them, guys, I see both.
That's just me.
Me personally, if I had, you know, $20,000 worth of sick leave, and you were gonna break it up in 10 years for me, I would ask you if I could have it up front, but then again, that's an option. What I'm hearing is, just write them a check, it's their money, give it to them. And Bob, question for you. If it's a $100 bill and it's owed to them, do we just give them the $100, do we give them $10 a year for the next 10 years? I'm trying to figure out now what the difference is now. Why don't we just write the damn check? If it's in there, excuse my language, if it's in there, and she says it's in there, we just write a check to them.
Based on what? Based on what the CBA has?
Well, there's merit to what Jack is saying. There's merit to what Jack is
I
saying. What we're
understand
trying
what
to
you're
do with all these guys is give them, compensate them very well financially for what they're doing, okay? And in this package right here, what I'm presenting tonight, I think you guys can see that we're taking very good care of them. But then again, they earn it, okay? So I don't want us to leave this room tonight and not get us all on the same page, and we put this off another month and maybe another month. If we're all good with the first phase of this, you know, move forward on that, and currently, just for today, we can bring it back, Bob. Let's go currently with this, let's keep it what the CBA is now, let's get this done, and we can bring it back up later.
I mean, next month agenda?
If you'd like to, you put it on the agenda, and yes, we'll discuss it next month. But currently, let's get this done, retro it back to October. These guys can have a good Christmas. These guys can look at it and go, wow, now I see why it's worth me to come to work every day. Okay? That's what I would like to see, but I'm only one of 5.
Mike, I think that's a good suggestion.
All right, so I make a motion,
What I
thank you.
would,
We already got the
There's
motion.
Mike, what I would ask,
Yes, I'm
what
sorry.
helped me with this
Yes, sir.
was that we laddered, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
from an entry-level firefighter with 0 experience, all the way up to a chief that's been in rank for 18 years.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so we can see, does that make sense looking at it? Could we do the same thing with this proposed changes to the benefit? What's in the CBA?
Yes,
And
sir.
then what's different and why, and what's the cost of that to the district?
Jack,
I mean, I would think if we're gonna start taking unused
I agree with that.
health,
yeah,
and we're gonna pay somebody to keep track of that for 10 years and pay out to a health account that can only be used for healthcare, I mean,
I get it.
there's a whole lot of costs here we're not looking at.
I get it.
Okay.
Okay, so are you good with that, chief? I think you and I can,
Yeah, so I can, I picked up on where, I picked up on what,
Come up with numbers, I'll see Catherine on it and
Yeah.
come up and I'll present next week, then we'll
Okay.
vote on next week, whether it passes or not, I know, I'm only one vote, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
Like the sick leave accrual, you know, you say, okay, we'll take, if you got $20,000, it'd be $2,000 a year for the next 10 years.
right,
Are you gonna pay him interest on that money while it's sitting there?
no,
Okay.
So
Why
my-
would he do it?
That's
Just
my
take it
point.
all out straight up front.
that's my
I don't want
point.
the
just
headache
said
of
I'm
having
not
a
gonna run.
minister paying
Right.
a bunch of people
So,
money.
no, it just, I'm all
They-
for
they
just a
do.
100% payout on
Okay.
it whenever they do.
And I'm good with that.
Because Catherine said, it's not set up to be a deferred account.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so, the motion is, Tommy,
Yeah.
to,
You gotta make a motion.
Well, I've already made the motion.
I know, but reiterate it. So we're all fresh.
accept,
You guys don't know what it is either, do you? You guys have no idea what the
Are you listening?
numbers
You
are,
got it?
I'm sorry.
I have the motion as to accept the scale submitted to the board,
Yes.
and it was seconded
Seconded.
by
Already been
Commissioner
seconded?
Wagner.
Okay.
Seconded.
Laid out in page 1 and page 2.
right, laid out in page
Okay.
1,
Packet
which
one,
I will
packet
give
two.
that to you, Catherine, when
I
we're
need
done.
all of it.
I promise you, I'll have it in a copy. in there.
And in fact, packet 3, I guess, it's all presented.
That's gotta be part of the record anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's when they verbalize it.
all right, Chair.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote.
One more
What?
question though, so Joe's gonna, like Joe's got 15 years, he's gonna go for 15 years, that's what we're saying, right? I want to
Yes,
clarify.
he's gonna go into, he's gonna fit in the
Matt's
scale,
got
whatever
3
service
years,
he
he's
has.
going 3 years, Chief's got 9 years,
That's right.
Kevin's got 10 years.
It wasn't my understanding, I
Yeah.
thought that
Thought
it was
something we
myself
agreed
and Commissioner
Yeah.
Buckingham were going to sit down.
Yeah, me
and
and the
review
chief
that.
is.
Sit down and
Yeah, the chief and I are
slot
gonna
the
do
chief
that, and we'll
in.
put the slots in.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, we're gonna do that.
Slot
exactly.
people in against that scale.
Well, which is what Bob is saying, though. Put them
If
in
he
the
was
slot in with the
15.
year they got. We got that. We know what we're doing.
Okay, would that come back in front of the board too for approval, or that's something that we can?
I don't know if you're gonna approve it, because we're gonna approve it tonight, but we can send you a copy
I'm
of it.
talking
But
about,
we can
I'm
even,
talking about how, say he's got 15 years, and you decide to give him 10 years.
I wouldn't do that. Why you put me in that
I'm
position?
saying,
I got a camera looking at it. Why you put me
Let's
in
just
that
give him 13. Call it even.
All
I say
right,
give him
the
15 and be done with it.
Yes, all right.
understanding that I have on that, and the notes that I have on that, is that a recommendation to place employees in the scale based on the decision of Chief Sasser and Commissioner Buckingham.
Right, with the exception of what Jack said of when they were put in that position at that time. Correct, Jack? That's why I agreed to,
Well, if I understand this stuff,
See, that's what I'm
what
not
it
getting.
says, it's not like the CBA, it's how many years have you been with the district?
Correct.
It's how many years have you, in effect, we
Right.
call it time and grade in the military,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
When did you have this rank with comparable responsibilities, that's when your clock starts running.
correct.
And if you've never done it before, you're captain, you get promoted to a battalion, you start at year 0.
Bingo.
Now, you got a bunch of year service, that drives
That is
that up.
correct.
Right, yeah.
But for the battalion pay scale, you go to year 0.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Now,
That is
if-
correct.
You know, if you're, let me put it this way, because it takes it off people that are here. If we hire a battalion chief from South Walton, and he's been a battalion chief with comparable responsibilities for 4 years,
Right.
then we would deem he starts at 4.
He
We're
fit
not
in
gonna
4.
make him 10, or
Right.
30, however many years service he had at Fort Walton, he starts at 4.
That's
That's
correct.
time in rank.
That is correct.
That's what you guys gotta figure out.
That is correct.
We're good with that.
That's exactly where my brain is.
One other thing, I don't think in your motion that mentioned retro in it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I did.
sorry. I did in my motion.
I know, but
Did
you
you
didn't.
retro it back to October? Because it is.
I make a motion to retro back to October 1st,
First
2019.
fiscal year, okay?
Good job, good job.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Everybody agree?
All right. Take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, one more thing.
And
now.
thank you guys, because they're gonna
Hey,
benefit you all on the road.
one more thing though, we still have one more employee that we haven't taken care of, and now she comes off probation next week or next month, this week, so I think maybe,
Who's that?
Who?
I'm not gonna mention names, but anyways, that one employee, that she has been, I think she, I'm not gonna say who it was, but, I think maybe let the chief recommend what kind of pay raise for her also, and let him decide, and let
That's
him.
his decision.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Do it then.
I'm good with that. And then you know, yeah,
If you guys are okay with that, I
Yeah.
can do that.
consent. I'm good
So
with
everybody's covered,
Yep.
everybody's covered, and we're done with pay raises for 3 years.
that. God, I like putting the heat on you, chief.
I'll take it.
Right.
The territory.
All right, next meeting, regular meeting?
One more thing.
Oh,
That's
man.
enough now.
That's enough us.
No, one more thing. Pension meeting, pension board last month.
Okay.
They decided to look at lowering the assumption rate one more time from, I think, 2 basis points. And therefore, I know, we've been putting extra money in every year, and I know the whole board looks forward to.
Let's keep doing it.
No, I have a problem with it right now, because right now, we don't know what it's gonna do. They're talking going from 7 forward, maybe down to 7. So I'm saying hold the money until after they decide what they wanna do with it, and maybe we can use some of the money for some of these pay raises too. And maybe after the end of the year, then decide if we have extra money to put it back in there, but not just automatically put the extra money in it, keep it for other things and department might need. But I'm just saying, we still might put it in there, but
But
not,
their proposal is, you said 2 basis points?
maybe up to what, maybe down
Well,
to
it's-
7,
it's
4.
gonna be
Two basis, that's a lot.
That's 2/100ths of a percent.
From 7.4.
Let them do it.
But it's $100,000 each basis point.
No.
Well, the thing about it is, we couldn't make a decision on that right now because
Yeah,
it hasn't been on the agenda, so we gotta get it.
Well, I'm just letting you, I'm just informing you what they plan
Well,
on
how do you
doing.
figure that's $100,000?
Each, what happened last time, what was it cost us last time, Catherine, do you remember?
200-something thousand, wasn't it?
No, it was 1 basis point that they reduced it by, and it was,
74,000, I think is what it was.
I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Approximately.
Yeah, it wasn't that great.
About
I'm not gonna
100,000, about
guess.
100,000.
I have 74, sticks in my head.
Stop it.
They are gonna bring it up at their next meeting. They did when they reduced it, just a few months ago. They did say, okay, this is the start of almost like a 5-year reduction. They wanna bring it down basis point by basis point by basis point over a period of time. And,
Which is a good idea.
the FRS is reducing it right now as we speak. They're signing into law from 7.4 to 7.2. So our pension board is very much so, they seem to be going that direction, at least to keep up with
I have a problem with
FRS.
that. We pay through the pension board a lot of money to a lot of people to go figure all this stuff out. And I have never seen a better stock market in my 15-year business career, and they're walking backwards.
Thank you,
Doesn't make any sense
Thank
at
you.
all.
thank you. Do they not understand, does that board not understand that this board here is doing everything we can in our power to get that thing paid up?
Just, we put in like $1.4 million.
I mean, why? Jack, can you tell me, cause you're a hell of a lot smarter at that than I am, why they would even think of doing something like that? What?
Because I don't know, and I cast no dispersion at them, they're good guys, but I don't know why. I mean,
I don't
really, I'm guessing when you fall forward, and they've been on a 3 or 4 year, because we were, when the market was not nearly robust as it is.
That's when we were
today,
getting it.
We were concerned that, we're really not seeing a good picture, because we sit here and say, you guys, work your butts off, you'll have a retirement waiting for you. Then we turn around and look, and, they're saying, well, then we're gonna hit 8, 9, 10%. I'm thinking, ooh, I don't think so.
I don't think so
Maybe
either.
we gotta be putting more and more and more money in trying to get caught up. But by the same token, if the market's going crazy as it has.
Yes.
Then I expect them to be getting a lot better returns, and that puts it takes a lot of heat off of us.
Bingo.
To do the supplemental funding every year, and still trying to get to where we're fully funded. With that supplemental funding we don't give them, what does it do? It goes into salaries, it goes into the station, it goes into equipment, it goes, all the things we need to run this place.
Right.
And I think if I remember right, I think we're 71% funded now,
We're 76%.
76%, and that's, when we, a few years ago, we were down to 50, a few years ago, so.
Hell, I think when I jumped on board, it was 36%. So,
Correct.
Yeah,
So,
so we
I
come a
mean,
long
guys,
ways.
it's a great, it's definitely
That's
doing.
how we compare to other districts.
Yeah.
And you'll like
Yeah,
what
we
you-
did, we're
we made
fantastic.
Great progress.
Hey, Jack,
Yes, sir.
do you mind if I ask you to take a moment and check into that for us and find out what in the hell they're thinking?
Sure.
Thank you.
I don't think we can, okay?
Why
Our
can't
next
he?
meeting is March 2nd.
Yeah, we just had it, so it'll be 3 months.
That's all right.
Do y'all realize that fire departments across the nation,
Or going broke.
well, their retirement funds are $3 trillion
In
underfunded.
debt.
$3 trillion underfunded,
Yes, yes.
so.
But this one, guys, we're working hard at it for y'all.
We appreciate that.
We are doing it. I'm telling you, we're doing it.
All right.
All right, one thing we didn't mention that's not on the agenda is the dates for the next year's meeting.
Right?
That'll be at the next one.
It's not on the agenda. It doesn't need to be voted on, as long as you take a look at it. What we're proposing is to keep the meeting the same, the second Tuesday of every month at 5:30. And then there's proposed dates for the trim process, for the public hearings in September. So it's nothing that needs to be voted on. If you're all comfortable with that, we'll go ahead and advertise and get our meeting in
I'm
January.
good with it.
That's fine.
I think it looks good to me, so,
Tommy's the man.
okay. I just saw that and I just wanted to make sure we talked about it.
I want you to know I enjoyed this evening.
Me too.
Had fun.
All right, next regular meeting scheduled, no, for January 14th, 2020 at 5:30
Point of
PM.
order, Mr. Chairman.
None, but I would like to say to all the staff and people viewing the meeting, I want to wish y'all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't be meeting again until after the first of the year. Hope everybody that travels, you have a safe travel and safe return back, okay?
You guys, thank you very,
So
very much.
thank you very much, everybody.
Appreciate you guys.
Enjoy it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
This meeting is adjourned.